Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and all in between. For more than 1,000 years, Europe had one of history's most confusing yet influential countries ever created, the Holy Roman Empire. The name alone is kind of misleading. It wasn't holy, it wasn't Roman, and most of the time, it wasn't even an empire. Yet this country, that was barely even a country, somehow managed to shape the continent in ways few powers have ever done before. In this documentary, I'll show you how. Phil has arrived.
Let's do give me loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty.
The story begins in the year 800, when Charlemagne, king of the Franks, proud owner of perhaps the most magnificent build in medieval Europe, was unexpectedly crowned Emperor of the Romans by Pope Leo III. No one was more surprised than Charlemagne himself. One moment, he was attending a Christmas party, and the next moment, boom, Emperor. Happened something along the lines of this. Ha 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 ha. Your Majesty, the Pope wants to see you on the stage. I will head up. Hello, one and all. Thank you for coming to this Christmas gala. On this fine evening, we are celebrating the birth of Christ for the 800th year in a row. And on this day, we have a prize for young Charlemagne. Now, Charlemagne, kneel down and close your eyes. Young Charlemagne, you have officially become the Emperor of Rome. After Pope Leo surprised crowned Charlemagne as Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire for his own protection, he fled the party with Charlemagne kinda mad in some reports. You must legally protect me now. Bless you, Pope Leo. Charlemagne was chosen for one purpose, to protect the Pope. The Pope needed a strong protector, and Charlemagne just happened to be the nearest person strong enough and right of mind to do it. And so, with a confused king and an enthusiastic Pope, the Holy Roman Empire was born. The identity would take centuries to figure out, and even then, no one fully knew what the empire had become. After Charlemagne's death, his children immediately began fighting over the throne of the empire. Borders shifted, kingdoms split and reunited, and for a while, the empire would fight and might collapse. Eventually, German kings, led by powerful figures like Otto the Great, revived and reorganized the empire. Otto, in particular, reshaped the imperial system by empowering bishops and clergy, mostly because he didn't trust the nobles. Medieval nobles, in particular, were unpredictable, ambitious, and armed, essentially raccoons in armor. So Otto preferred officials who couldn't pass down the land to rebellious sons. Under leaders like Otto, the Holy Roman Empire grew into the strongest country in Europe from the 10th to the 12th century. It commanded vast regions of Central Europe, controlled parts of Italy, and maintained a fearsome military presence. It was large, wealthy, culturally good, and politically swayable. Its structure blended royal authority with the church, giving emperors both earthly and spiritual legitimacy, in theory at least. The empire acted as the big boy of Europe, though France constantly tried to argue with that idea. However, how the empire was complicated. The Holy Roman Empire functioned like a massive group project where everyone was in charge and no one could be fired. The emperor was the theoretical rule of everyone, but every prince, duke, bishop, and city-state insisted on their own privileges, laws, and tax rules. 7 powerful princes, known as the electors, even held the exclusive rights to choose the emperor. Basically, the medieval politics version of a VIP club. Above all of them stood the Pope, who, depending on the century, was either the emperor's best friend, worst enemy, or advisor, or all of them at the same time. No wonder the emperors aged so poorly. Oh yeah. The emperor and the pope shared a famously complicated relationship. The medieval world's ultimate tug of war. The greatest conflict erupted in the 11th century during the investiture controversy, a multi-decade argument over who had the authority to appoint bishops. At the center of the dispute was the Emperor Henry IV and Pope Gregory VII. Their feud reached legendary drama when Henry was excluded and politically cornered. He was made to stand barefoot in the snow outside of the Canossa Castle for 3 days to beg for the Pope's forgiveness. It was one of the most famous humiliations in European history. Throughout its long history, the Holy Roman Empire fought countless battles, but 5 stand out especially important to me. All these battles helped define the Holy Roman Empire. Was just really funny to read about what happened in the war. The first battle was the War of Lichfield in 955, where Otto the Great crushed the Magyars in an epic cavalry battle. This secured Germany's survival and established Otto as a heroic defender of Europe. Next came the Battle of Wittenberg in 1167, when Emperor Frederick Barbarossa attempted to dominate northern Italy but was shatteringly defeated by Lombard League, a collection of rebellious city-states that refused to be pushed around. The third major clash, the Battle of Marchfield in 1278, witnessed Rudolf of Habsburg defeat King Otto of Bohemia in a massive cavalry battle that cemented the rise of the Habsburg dynasty, which would eventually rule the empire for centuries. Later in 1525, the Battle of Pavia saw important forces capture the King of France himself, a humiliation France still has not forgotten. Finally, the Battle of White Mountain in 1620, early in the 30-Year War, dramatically reshaped Central Europe as imperial armies crushed the rebellious Bohemian nobles in a smoke-filled, cannon-heavy confrontation. Despite its strength, cultural importance, and longevity, the Holy Roman Empire gradually weakened. Its decentralized structure, once a source of flexibility, became a burden. Each prince started his flights, each state had a different agenda, and the emperor's authority became more symbiotic than real. By the time Napoleon stormed onto the European stage in the early 1800s, the empire was simply too old, too slow, and too divided to resist. In 1806, after more than a millennium of resistance, the Holy Roman Empire finally dissolved. Not with a dramatic final battle like the other kingdoms, but with a stressed emperor signing the paperwork and stepping aside. Ho ho ho! And so ended one of the world's wildest countries, not a unified kingdom, but a group of cultures and powers held together by tradition, diplomacy, and sheer stubbornness. The Holy Roman Empire may have been chaotic, inconsistent, and politically baffling, but it left a legacy that both shaped Europe's laws, borders, and identity. It was in every sense a 1,000-year experiment in how to run a civilization without ever truly agreeing on who was in charge. See you later.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.